So I was doing a gig the other night, and while I was playing it just occurred to me how much I was hitting the strings, and this was even in the middle of lead lines as well. And this is a technique that I like to call targeted strumming, if you like. And there is good reason for this. And it's because when you're playing a guitar with distortion, you don't have dynamics as such, because the distortion kind of sets your level, sets your volume at a certain level. So you need to do other things to introduce dynamics or put some kind of variation in tone in there. And this is one of the things I use a lot to put variation in tone. So what I've done is I've switched the distortion on my guitar this week, yeah? And we're gonna use a distorted guitar for the lesson this week. But what I thought I'd do is demonstrate the technique, because even though it looks like I'm hitting the strings, there is quite a lot of technique going on in this. I'm going to be doing this using my fingerstyle technique, but you can do exactly the same thing with a pick as well. And the other thing is, it's useful to experiment with this technique even if you don't use it, because the other thing you're working on here is about string control. It's about controlling all of the other strings when you're hitting them like that, which takes a lot of technique from both the left and the right hand. And if you do work with the pick, you know, guitarists like Stevie Ray Vaughan would use a technique like this to really sort of belt the strings, really sort of, you know, build up that emotion, get things much more frenetic, get things much more chaotic. So that's kind of the sound. This is a dirty technique. This is not a clean technique, and that's the whole point of it. Anyway, let's zoom in and I'll demonstrate the basics of it for you. Okay, so let's start with just the strum. So I'll mute the strings and just strum with my right hand. And the movement is this. And you can see there I'm actually using my middle finger. It doesn't really matter, I could use my index finger, my third finger. So the finger doesn't really matter, but the point is the finger's doing a downstroke and an upstroke. The thumb's not involved in the strum itself. The strum plays an important role, as we'll cover in a moment, but in terms of the actual strum, it's a finger movement. Yeah? So that's the right hand technique. So if we introduce the left hand and we just play one note, so I'll play a note on the G string just there. Yeah? And again, I just hit the strings. If you just work on the downstroke for the moment. Can you hear how, even though I'm hitting all the strings, I'm really controlling most of them and I'm just allowing that G string to ring. Now, you can hear the other strings, you can hear the impact on the other strings, and so it's going to sound rough, as you can hear, loads of texture in that, but that's the whole point of this technique. It's all about the texture. Because you can always pick these notes cleanly as well, but what you want to do is to find a way of introducing dynamics, introducing textures, introducing contrasts. And that's the purpose of a technique like this, is give you something that sounds rough and ready, yeah? Now the way I'm controlling the strings is predominantly it's a left-hand function. So my index finger is actually quite flat, and it's playing the note on the G string. But because it's flat, it's also controlling the B string and the E string. And actually it's lying across and just touching the D string as well, yeah? So my index finger is actually controlling 4 strings. And then when I hit that downstroke, what I'm doing is I'm dropping my thumb on the A and the E string, yeah? So I've now got a combination of both my left hand and my right hand controlling all of the strings, yeah? Okay, now with an upstroke, we're doing the same thing. We've got the same left hand technique going on, controlling the strings, but I'm letting my thumb just sit on those strings for the duration of that upstroke. So my thumb's playing an important role, it's controlling those bass strings, yeah? So it's a combination of the left hand and the right hand controlling 5 of the 6 strings and muting them and allowing only 1 string to ring. And once you get that basic idea working, just see see if you can go up and down the strings, and it's going to sound rough and ready as you can hear. Yeah, so just like I'm doing there, I'm just playing a simple pentatonic line. You can use it on any kind of scale. But what we're trying to do is get used to that idea of controlling. Get used to that idea of just controlling the strings with both hands. And see if you can do, I don't know, descending in threes or something. Yeah, by playing every note, and then try introducing some slurs in there. Yeah. And then the other thing you can do is just start just come up with a line, any line, and just play it normally. And then see if you can do it with this technique. And you can hear the difference between picking cleanly. Much more frenetic, yeah? So you can see this is all about exploring textures. There is control, there's a lot of control going on here, but you don't see it, the audience doesn't see it as well. So it's a good kind of a gesture, sort of a theatrical gesture. You can really belt your guitar and you know, show that kind of chaos in your playing, and the chaos comes across in the sound as well. This is a dirty sounding technique, and that's why I like to do it. So anyway, have fun with that, see how you get on, and we'll chat next time. Goodbye.